Do you know if your home workouts are working? Meaning, yeah, you're going through the motions of doing your workouts and you're feeling sweaty and, you feel that your heart rate increases and everything like that. But do you actually know how to make sure that your home workouts are building your health, building your strength, building your function? Or are you just checking them off your to-do list and crossing your fingers that things are going in the right direction for you? On today's episode of the Exercise is Health podcast, Julie and I are going to be discussing 3 key principles that you can apply to your home workouts to make sure that you are increasing the effectiveness of them. We're going to cue the intro song and then we're going to dive right into this conversation. Welcome to the Exercise is Health podcast, where we're talking about exercise, health, and the interconnectedness of the two. We are your hosts, Charlie
and Julie,
and we will be coming to you every single week from our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg. Hey, welcome back, exercisers, to the Exercise is Health podcast. We are your hosts, Charlie
and Julie,
and we're coming to you from our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg, here in Schaumburg, Illinois, where we believe that your health is your most valuable asset, and the single best thing that you can do to both boost and protect this asset is exercise. Specifically, exercise is geared towards building the health and function of your muscles. Now, if you've been following the Exercise is Health podcast for any length of time, and you've tried applying the principles that we discuss week in and week out on this podcast, but you're having some trouble really effectively doing it on your own, we have a solution for you, okay? It's called the Exercise for Life membership program. And this program will allow you to have access to hundreds of workouts where we teach you exactly how to implement all the strategies and tactics that we discuss every single week on this podcast. So if you've ever looked through our entire library of podcasts and you thought, wow, there's so much information here, how do I go about applying it all? The Exercise for Life membership program is exactly how you go about doing that. All you have to do to get signed up for the Exercise for Life membership program is go to www.exerciseforlifestudios.com/membership. Now today we are diving into this problem that I think a lot of people face around their home workouts, and it's that they don't even know if their home workouts are working for them. Meaning they do the workout, they feel themselves, getting sweaty, maybe breathing harder a little bit, maybe they wake up the next day and they feel like their muscles are sore or whatever, but they actually don't know if their strength is improving. They actually don't know if their health and function are improving. So today we're going to dive into 3 key principles that you can start applying to your home workouts to make sure that your home workouts are more effective at improving the health and function of your body.
Now, Charlie, this is a really confusing topic to everyone, I think. And even us when we first learned about exercising for your health, because before we have learned about this, all of us are basically exposed from a very young age about exercising for external things like sports or performing in a certain way or PE class. It's all external, meaning, well, I couldn't run a 5K and then I did some stuff and now I can run a 5K. That's a sign of success. Or I couldn't shoot a basketball, then I trained my arms and my legs and my jumping skills and I, built up all this strength and now I can shoot a basketball. So those external ways are like ways that a lot of us like to feel like, hey, I did some stuff that were effective. But now we're in this phase of life where we're saying, hey, I want to use exercise to stay as healthy as possible. Do I do the same stuff as when I was not doing a 5K and now I can do a 5K, or I couldn't shoot a basketball, now I can shoot a basketball? No, we have to train and exercise differently. And that gives us a different type of guideline to go off of how are we exercising to make sure that we improve the health and function of our bodies. And that's why we put together these principles. And these principles, you can take them and apply them to like all your exercise. And whenever you do exercise, especially strength training, make sure you're doing these things, and that will redirect your exercise to be sure that you're improving the health and function of your body. Because again, it's a hard metric to gauge. I think the function part is really easy because you can tell like the following day, do I feel less functional or do I feel more functional? That one's kind of immediate. But the one where you're like, hey, am I improving my health, my brain function, my blood values, all those things, like that's a long-term thing. Like we can't know that. And it would be nice to feel like, hey, 6 months ago, I wish I would have known. I should have done this because no parts of my health have improved.
Yeah, Julie, that's such a great point. I'm glad you brought up that idea of We learn to exercise through sports, and we learn to measure our progress through external markers. And that's really how we are all indoctrinated into this world of exercise and fitness, because like you were saying, it gets us all focused on the wrong things. Look, external goals and markers can be fun to go after really, at any point in life, to know that you used to not be able to do something and now you can do something. There's nothing wrong with knowing that or going for those goals or anything like that. The problem is when your workouts are specifically and solely set up to have you do that, because what often happens is we sacrifice our internal health, we sacrifice our internal function, we sacrifice our body in a lot of ways in order to try to accomplish these external goals. And so that's really what we want to help you shy away from. And so what we need, instead of saying, okay, this is a program that you need if you want to run a 5K, and this is a program that you need if you want to be able to do 50 push-ups, and this is a program that you need if you want to be able to, squat your body weight 10 times or whatever, right? Instead of looking at, all right, this program, then this program, then this program, what we need are principles, and we can take those principles and apply them to any workout, any exercise, any program that we're doing. And because we're following these principles, now we have a much better opportunity of improving our internal function, of improving our health, of increasing our strength in a way that's not detrimental to our overall well-being.
Now, the key thing is once you master these principles, that you start challenging your body. And a lot of people feel like Julie and Charlie talk about exercise that feels good, so it must be easy. Well, no, we actually have created these principles, and when you follow them, then you can really challenge your body. And it is important as an exerciser to be challenging our body within the principles so that we're getting these amazing health benefits that exercise can bring about without having the side effect of getting injured or the excessive soreness, or again, questioning like, hey, is this good for my health? Is this going to lead me down the right path? Or am I doing, too much and leading to an overtraining effect, which we find a lot of people running into when they're exercising in their 50s, for example, just the same exact way as they exercised when they were in their 20s.
Exactly. Okay, so what are these 3 key principles? So the first one is we want to make sure that you are establishing a starting position when you do every exercise. What does this mean? It means as much as people try to promote being really mindful about form and technique and everything like that, we're saying we want you to be really mindful of how your starting form is, or how your starting technique is, or how your starting, what we're going to call your starting position is, like your starting posture. Like, how is your body lined up? Where are your joints? How are your joints positioned? Where are your limbs? Everything like that. And just making sure that those things are in a position that is respectful to your body, that is not stressful to your body. And if you can just nail down this first principle, everything from there becomes way easier.
Absolutely. I have a really great example of this. Charlie and I just finished up a workout for our membership program, and Charlie showed a version where he was doing a bent over row using his own leg for support. And this is it's a skill to be able to do that. And he's bent over, like one hand is holding his thigh and the other hand is rowing a dumbbell. And so you might get in that starting position, not even do the row yet, and be like, my back is already talking to me. My wrist doesn't like this position. My elbow feels funny holding the dumbbell like this. So that's what you're looking for when you do your starting position. If your starting position doesn't feel good, it's very unlikely that the rest of the exercise is going to feel amazing or good or productive. So make sure you take just a quick minute, manipulate and body match that starting position so that it feels good. Because if you're distracted by your wrist bothering you, you're not going to be able to focus on squeezing your muscles and moving slowly and all the other principles we're about to jump into. But you got to make sure you change that starting position so that it's in a position that fits for your body.
Yeah, Julie, that's such a great point. Look, if you are, like you were saying, already not feeling well at the very beginning of the exercise, it's going to be really hard to be able to focus on the things that you need to focus on in order to maximize the exercise while you're doing it. All right. So step number 1, principle number 1 is make sure that you establish a really solid and comfortable for you starting position before before you dive into doing the exercise overall. Then once you start to do the exercise, we want to make sure that you are moving slowly, okay? How slow should you be moving? Well, one thing that we like to talk about is this idea of a school zone principle, okay? Which means if you're driving through a school zone and the posted speed limit in that school zone is 20 miles an hour, but it's 2:40 p.m. on a Wednesday, and there are a bunch of 5 to 11-year-old kids running around just having eaten a bunch of pixie sticks chasing their puppies, are you driving through that school zone at 20 miles an hour, or are you maybe just kind of inching along at a pace that is, maybe noticeably slower than the posted speed limit, but that you could immediately stop if a kid or a puppy or a parent chasing after a kid or a puppy were to run out into the road? It's going to be the latter, right? Why? Because the risk of not being able to immediately stop is huge. So you need to make sure that you can immediately stop. And so you are going to drive at a speed that you can do that regardless of what the actual posted speed limit is. Okay. So what does this have to do with your exercise? Well, while you're exercising, you need to have that school zone mentality. Regardless of how fast you could do the exercise, you need to make sure that you can immediately stop. Should something feel a little bit funky, or your body saying, oh, you know what? We don't want you to move so far, or whatever it is, like any kind of negative sensation or signal that your body is telling you, you need to be able to immediately stop and change your direction, change, your position or whatever it is, so you don't further worsen that signal, that sensation. And so that idea of being able to immediately stop in the school zone, we want you to be able to immediately stop while you're doing your exercise as well.
Moving slowly really does provide that control piece. And you will also notice that as soon as you start moving more slowly, your muscles are more highlighted. Your muscles are more challenged. And that is a good thing. Almost all of the health changes that we get from exercising is because muscles are contracting. And the more that we can highlight muscles contracting, the better outcome and results we're going to get. We're going to maximize that change that we can have from exercise. So moving slowly is, yes, about control. What happens when you control things is that muscle is like the front runner in the spotlight, and that is what we want. And you're going to notice when you move slowly, your brain is going to fight you on this. Your brain's going to be like, no, move faster. This is too hard. Because us as humans, we're designed to not want to endure challenge. So work through it, go slowly, and your body will thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. Now, principle number 3 is to make sure while you're doing the exercise, you're respecting your range of motion. Okay. And principle number 2 of moving slowly will really help you to respect your range of motion. Another thing that will really help you to respect your range of motion is to focus on squeezing your muscles while you're doing the exercise. Now, why do we want to make sure that you're respecting your range of motion? Okay. Most injuries don't happen in a neutral position. Most injuries happen in a relatively extreme position, whether it's a forward fold or, a reaching up or, a leg to the front or back or to the side or whatever, right? Okay. Like nobody really gets injured just, standing still, everything kind of stacked in their neutral position, right? Like it makes sense that as we get to more extreme positions, that's where the risk of injury increases. Well, here's the thing. Your specific range of motion is going to be really hard to detect how close you are to your extremes when you're moving fast. It's going to be really hard to detect how fast you are to your extremes of range of motion when you are not focused on what's going on within your body. And so if we're talking about, well, how do we make sure that your at-home workouts are effective, they're continuously building your health, strength, and function, you can keep coming back to them? One of the surest ways to be able to do that is to make sure that the workout that you're doing today is setting you up to come back and work out again tomorrow, which means you can't be feeling achy, beat up, and sore or injuring yourself while you're exercising. And one way to hedge against feeling achy, beat up, or sore, one way to reduce the risk that you're injuring yourself while you exercise is to respect your range of motion and to not move too much, not move too far while you're exercising.
Absolutely. This one is huge. And as Charlie already said, they kind of go together. Like I was just telling one of my clients about an example of we were doing rowing, and I used to always give myself headaches when I would row. Why? Because I would move slowly, but then I would start moving more quickly near the end. And because of that speed, I was not respecting my end range of motion. I thought more range of motion would be better. And so because of that, I was stressing out my rowing muscles, which feed into my neck, and they were just giving me headaches. And as soon as I switched to slowing down and making sure I wasn't speeding up near the end, my body was able to feel where my body naturally would stop, and it really relieved a lot of my headache issues that were associated with rowing. And so a lot of people don't have headache issues with rowing. Most of the times it's soreness from when you exercise. So use these principles to really bias your workouts towards effectiveness, towards being repeatable and feeling good and functional right after the following day and, days after your workouts.
Absolutely. So what are the risks of not following these key principles, of not implementing them into your at-home workouts? Well, like we've been talking about, is you don't really know whether your workouts are then just something you're checking off your list to be able to check it off your list, or whether they're actually building your health, strength, and function, okay? These principles are specifically designed to help you build your health, strength, and function when you implement them consistently with your workouts. The other thing is you need to make sure that you're able to exercise consistently day after day, not just for the next 6 weeks or not just for the next year, but for, as long as you want to keep getting the health benefits of exercise. And ways to make sure that you're not able to do that are to constantly feeling achy, beat up, sore, are to, increase your risk of injury for your workouts. And so these principles are to help hedge against those things. So you don't have as great of a risk of feeling achy, beat up, sore. So you don't have as great of a risk of being injured from your workouts. Okay. And so that really is the whole idea behind this. Is it's not just, some principles to throw in. It's like, okay, cool. Like now my workouts feel different. No. They're actually designed to help you feel stronger, to help you be able to do more because of the results you're getting from your workouts, and to decrease the risk that you end up feeling lousy from your workouts.
Great. So when you exercise, I know a lot of people don't talk about this, but a sign of a good workout is that at the end, you feel more energized. You feel more ready. Like the readiness level of you is way higher than when you started. And a lot of what's like touted in the fitness industry is that you actually should be feeling more bad or worse after you finish exercising and the following day. That's a sign of a good workout. We think differently. We know that when you leave your workout and you've done it appropriately, you've applied these principles, that you're going to be feeling more functional. Your range of motion will have opened up. A lot of our members tell us that after their workouts, they feel more free. We even had an email last week saying, I haven't felt this loose from exercising in so long. And that's what exercise should be doing. It should not be restricting your body. It should be making your body more capable, more motion, more function, reaching higher, more confident when you use your stairs, it's easier to get in and out of your car. Those are the things that show us that your exercise is benefiting your function and your health.
Absolutely. So if you'd like Julie and me to walk you through these principles while you're doing your workouts, then the easiest way to get in on that is to sign up for our Exercise for Life membership program. Like we said, you can get access to hundreds of workouts that you can do right from your living room, from resistance training to cardio mobility workshops, recovery workshops, specialty programs like resistance training building blocks, and so much more. It's all available within the Exercise for Life membership program, and you can get instant access to all of it simply by going to www.exerciseforlifestudios.com/membership. So who do you know that needs to hear this episode? Who do you know who is looking to start exercising at home on their own, but still knows they need some more guidance with it and wants to make sure that their exercise is building their health and strength while making sure that they are not setting themselves up for injury with their workouts? Share this episode with them so they can learn about these key principles that they can start implementing with their workouts to do just that. And while you're online, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review. It helps people find our podcast when they're looking for information on exercise and when they're looking for information on health. So if you found value in this conversation today, let us know by leaving us that 5-star rating and review. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We always appreciate it. Have a fantastic week, and we'll talk with you all next week. This podcast is for information purposes only. The statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Julie and Charlie Gates, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements or advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical issue, consult a licensed physician.